Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark show for January 18, 2024. We're going to be doing the Week 20 NFL DraftKings picks video for this 2023 NFL season. That's the divisional round of the playoffs. Joined once again by Kenny Ortiz, the president and owner of the CapIsFake.com. Kenny, how are you?
I'm still recovering from a brutal Monday night loss. Quite embarrassing. But I was telling, so before I started recording, I mentioned this to you. At about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, I was with my friend and I said, "Okay, let's get out of here." I mean, the Eagles.
Hold on. Let's preface this. You went to the game because people.
Oh yeah, sorry. I didn't mention this. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was at the Eagles Buccaneers game on Monday night. I am an Eagles fan, as people probably know. Mike, good to see you. Section 228, we're hanging out, row B. And anyway, we're sending my friend James. I said, let's get out of here, man. Like this is dumb. Like I'm so angry. And like it started to drizzle a little bit. And so the stadium is sold out crowd. Buccaneers fans were celebrating, singing as they should. Their team actually showed up. I walk out in the concourse and there's a bunch of people like leaving the stadium. Hundreds of people are pouring out. There was not a single red piece of clothing on the people leaving the stadium. Everyone leaving the stadium was wearing green. So when I went to the Eagles-Bucks game in September, it was probably 60% Eagles fans there. This was probably like 10 or 15% Eagles fans. I mean, it was the Bucks fans showed up. The Eagles fans were leaving early. The parking lots, everyone, it was all Eagles fans that left early. The Bucks fans stayed till the end, and rightfully. So the rest of us were dejected, crying. So 48 hours later, still saddened, drowning my sorrows in a glass of orange juice.
I'm sorry to hear about your misery. That was quite the performance by your team. It was, despite how poorly they played, it was close for a while. It was 16-9. Then Hurts took that safety. It's still, still 18-9, still kind of close in the second half. Although you could say that if the Buccaneers didn't drop all those passes in the first half.
If the Buccaneers didn't drop, 5 or 6 passes, I mean, maybe, I don't know how many drops there were. By my count, there was at least 5, and you could probably give it 6. I don't know. I think the Bucs, they took their gas off the pedal, their hand, or the gas pedal, took their foot off the pedal. That's the analogy. Mm-hmm. I think they could have scored 50 if they wanted to. Like that's how bad I think. I mean, it was, it was rough.
Yeah, this is an Eagles team that lost to Arizona. They lost to the Giants, and they lost to the Seahawks, led by Drew Lock late in the year. It's kind of the writing was on the wall. Even the first game against the Giants, that was a close one as well. So, brutal loss. Do you think they retain Nick Sirianni? I mean, we're talking about before we started recording. You said you wouldn't blame him if they fired him, but like, do you think they're going to keep him?
My guesstimate is they would not fire him. That's my guess, but I'm not. I mean, I'd say I think it's 60-40 that he's back.
Okay. Well, okay. So why do you think he's coming back then?
I just think because how Jeffrey Lurie, the owner, like, he's had coaches have terrible moments before, and he's given them opportunities to recover. Like he's not been that guy. Like, I mean, Andy Reid had multiple mediocre seasons. He was 7 years removed from a Super Bowl appearance and had a terrible 2011 year and still brought him back for 2012 when everyone was calling for them to be fired. And so like if he gives Andy Reid, Ray Rhodes the same in the 90s, like everyone wanted him fired after 97, brought him back for 98 when everyone knew he shouldn't have done that. Like Chip Kelly, there was some writing on the wall. He brought him back. So I think like the only time he didn't bring back a coach was Doug Peterson. That's because they squabbled over, who to hire as assistants. Doug Peterson was going to kind of revamp the staff. So if Sirianni sort of digs in and said, no, I want to hire this guy or this guy, then maybe they fire him. But I think in all likelihood, they bring him back, kind of based on the track record.
Patrick saying, as a Giants fan, I hope the Cowboys keep Mark McCarthy. Shout out to the rant from a few years, real ones remember. Right. Reference to Kenny's legendary rant about Mike McCarthy. And I want to, before we get to the DraftKings stuff, I want to get your opinion on this. The Cowboys announced that they are retaining Mike McCarthy. What are your thoughts on this?
Eagles fans and Giants fans together, we celebrate. Just I understand why they bring him back. It makes sense. Like you look at the stats and the team, but anyone who knows football, just like what this guy doesn't know what he's doing. And maybe Nick Sirianni doesn't either. Maybe that'll show itself over the next. But like we have enough of a track record with McCarthy. Like we know, like this guy's been coaching in the NFL 16 years or whatever. This is not a new guy. He's not a good game manager. He's not a good coach. And I don't understand how he still has a job. So as an Eagles fan, I think this is the first time in the Super Bowl era that a team, with the Dallas Cowboys being the team I'm referring to, obviously here, this is the first time that a team has ever won 12 games, 3 consecutive seasons, and not made it to the conference title game. There you go. I think that says enough. Like, he's not a big game coach. And if I'm a Cowboys fan, I'd be pissed right now.
Yeah, first 2 seed to lose to a 7 seed as well. Not that that's been a long track record here, but it was an embarrassing performance to say the least. It's not like they lost this like shootout that could have gone either way. Like they were getting manhandled the entire afternoon, and they got it to 16 at the end. But like it was much worse than that. Like they were getting embarrassed on national TV. It was the middle game. It was the game everyone was watching on Sunday. And yeah, they were a complete no show. I don't know. If I'm a Cowboys fan, I'd be super pissed right now. McCarthy is a horrible coach. Yeah, definite F grade, as Doug suggested here. There's no defending this. Like it's not like you could say, oh, there's no experienced head coaches available that would be great hires. And like the only ones you can hire are like young coaches, and Jerry Jones is like 100 years old, and so like he wants an experienced guy like that. That's like the one argument you could make, but you can't even make that this offseason because Bill Belichick's out there and Jim Harbaugh's out there, like two excellent hires. Right, Mike Vrabel. Yeah, I mean Mike Vrabel is even like the third option that you wouldn't mind having.
I'd even wonder, like, fire McCarthy and promote Dan Quinn? I'd roll with Quinn over McCarthy, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, I would too. But like, if someone like Belichick's available, and Belichick even said he's looking for a team that is talented but has been underachieving. Like that is Dallas in a nutshell, right?
Right.
I don't understand. Like if Belichick's available, how do you not let go of McCarthy? It's a perfect excuse too. It's not like they went to the conference championship and you have to be like, oh, we're gonna let you go for Belichick. Like that's like a tough sell for a team that like was almost to the Super Bowl. Like again, like they just lost right away in the playoffs. I know they went to the second round last year, but man, it's the way they came out and just were a no show. I don't know how you bring him back. I think it's just an awful move to retain him, and there's no excusing it. Like like I said, with Belichick and Jim Harbaugh, you have to go with one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I would do. To me, Harbaugh's the guy. Like if I'm Jerry Jones, I would go so hard after Harbaugh. I think he's proven he's a great coach.
Oh yeah, he was great in San Francisco for sure.
And so I think he's the guy that I would go after.
Bagley's saying Belichick would want GM powers. There's no way Jerry Jones would give that up. That's kind of fair. I would say like Jerry Jones would never relinquish that, but I don't know.
Julian Edelman was on one of the Talking Head shows earlier today and said something. He's like, he actually thinks that people misunderstand Belichick, that they think he's a power hungry guy, that he kind of is that, like, yeah, he wants to call the shots. And he's like, if you actually know Bill, he's actually not like that. He's very much a very collaborative type of guy. And so I thought that was an interesting take from someone who seemingly knows him well.
Yeah, have to trust what my fourth cousin has to say about Belichick. So definitely have to, yeah, for sure. All right, let's get into this slate. Before we do, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that would mean a lot to us. If you really want to help support the show, we are 70 shy of 4,000 subs. So please hit subscribe. Please don't make me beg on Twitter, which I may have to do in a week to try to get us there about the Super Bowl. And if you really, really want to help support the show, please consider super chatting us. We've had some great super chats here, and would love to keep it going because these YouTube ads pay nothing. Like I said yesterday, before the new year, at least like we could get a Happy Meal with one of these shows. Like they paid out like $5, but now it's like $1 because no one wants to advertise in January. So we make like $1 per episode, so it's kind of sad here. So at this rate, we're going to be living in cardboard boxes. So please help us out with some super chats.
And someone someone might put a gun to your head and make you bet that dollar.
I know. I know. I may not want to make that bet, so it would be helpful to get the super chat money for sure. All right, let's get to the slate. This is the 4-game slate. $1 million to first. So if one of us wins this, maybe we won't have to beg for money on this show. All right, so it's 4 games, so that means 8 quarterbacks. We have Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson at the top. We have and then we have everyone else in the 6K range, ranging from Mahomes down to Mayfield. So what are you looking at with these quarterbacks?
I actually probably want to pay up. My favorite quarterback this week is Lamar Jackson. The Houston defense, I mean, they've had moments where they've been really good down the stretch. They've had moments where they've been really bad, and they've given up a lot of yards to quarterbacks. And so I think Lamar Jackson have a great game, and I would imagine they'll win this game. Now, I'm not going to count out the Texans because C.J. Stroud is playing really good football right now. But I think Lamar is my favorite guy on this slate.
Yeah, if I'm paying up, I think you can make the case for both of them. Like Lamar Jackson against Houston's defense, which is pretty weak against the pass. And what I like is I like mobile quarterbacks in the playoffs because they're more likely to run more, unless your name is Jalen Hurts and then you forget that he can run. But Lamar Jackson, I feel like is capable of, big rushing performances. Was recently 97 rushing yards against Jacksonville. So like we could see something in the 50, 60 rushing yard range. I think I'm going to do that for the prop for this game. So yeah, like Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen, again, another mobile quarterback who can run. He had 33 DK fantasy points against the Steelers. Now he gets the Chiefs, and the Chiefs, the Bills are kind of built to beat the Chiefs. Now, granted, Allen had 21 fantasy points in this game, but most of the production was on James Cook. So that could change. And so I wouldn't mind getting to either, really. But if you want to pay down, where are you looking at? There are 2 quarterbacks I really like in the 6K range.
Yeah, for me, I think in my opinion, I think it's Brock Purdy. He's probably my favorite at 6,500. And my only concern though is, I don't know if you have the ownership pulled up yet. My concern is that Brock Purdy is going to be highly owned, and so that makes me a little bit nervous. If he's a top 3, highly owned, top 2, I probably would stay away from him. But if he's going to be lower owned, I think Brock Purdy is the guy I probably will end up having a lot of.
Brock Purdy is the number 1 projected owned quarterback.
Well, okay. Ignore what I just said there. That kind of really does kill it. I mean, legitimately on a slate like this with so few players, you have to differentiate. I mean, we say that normally, but I think in a situation like this, you have to be more differentiated. And yeah, I think if he's going to be number 1, then I probably want very little of him.
Well, I think that if you play Purdy, you have to get different within the stack, I think. And I talked about that last week when, we're trying to make a lineup with Joe Flacco, and I recommended, hey, let's build a Flacco lineup without Amari Cooper. And I thought that would be different. And it turned out it did, because Cooper was super highly owned, and, Nico Collins was just as much as Cooper was. So I like the idea of getting Collins in the lineup instead of Cooper last week. So if you go with Purdy, I think stacking him with McCaffrey is one way, even though I think that will be highly owned. But I think that most people who play Purdy are going to want to play him with Kittle and then one of the receivers. So if you go McCaffrey and no receivers, if you go McCaffrey and Kittle, I think that could be a little bit different. So just try to find a way to get different with Purdy if you want to play him. But you could always just not play Purdy and go with one of these other options. I think that there's the 2 guys I like, actually. The first one's Jared Goff, 6,300 against Tampa Bay's pass funnel defense. The Buccaneers, despite what we saw Monday night, are not good defensively. They have severe issues in the secondary. They've been leaky in the secondary all year. Just look at what Derek Carr did to them in Week 17, if you want a recent reference point. I think that Jared Goff should be able to light up the Buccaneers. He plays so well at home. I know he only had 14 fantasy points against the Rams, in round one, and that might keep people off of him. But it was I think it was a situation where the Lions had a big lead, first of all, and second, the Rams have a pretty decent defense. And the Buccaneers is definitely worse. So Jared Goff, I like him. I also like the other quarterback in that game, Baker Mayfield. We just saw Baker Mayfield have 30 fantasy points against the Eagles. And the Lions have a pass funnel defense. They're so good against the run. They're number one against the run, in fact. But they have some big issues in the secondary. They allow big plays. So, I mean, stacking Mayfield with Evans and Godwin's possible, or maybe one of them and go with Kate Otten or something like that, or even put in Rachaad White. So these are the two quarterbacks I'm getting to in the 6K range, and they're not nearly as highly owned as Purdy.
I'm curious. Yeah, I'm a little nervous at Mayfield's that they're not going to be able to score points in this game. Like I think maybe he'll be able to throw a lot between the 20s, but I wonder if they get into the red zone and the Detroit defense actually is able to shut them out. So I'm a little nervous that he's not going to be able. I mean, a week ago we saw Baker Mayfield and the Bucks barely score 9 points against the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers have a decent defense, but I think Detroit overall is better defense and just better coached. They'll be a better situation. So I can see. I'm a little nervous they get shut out in this game, or they're not able to score a lot of points in this game. And so that makes me a little bit concerned. But I think Goff is a great pick as well. And I wonder what, if Goff is going to be, my first thought was Purdy, but if Purdy's going to be number one owned, if Goff is toward the bottom, then maybe Goff is actually a significantly better play at 6,300.
Well, let's get into that. Who are the three highest owned quarterbacks? We know Purdy's number one. Who are 2 and 3?
I'm going to guess Lamar Jackson. Everyone's thinking about him.
Number 2. Yep.
And then my next guess would be CJ Stroud is my guess.
It's not CJ Stroud.
I
want to talk about CJ Stroud before we move on.
Yeah, I mean, is it Mahomes then?
It's not Mahomes.
Huh. I mean, I'm running out of guys here quick here. But,
you only have a few more left.
I mean, I guess it's. I guess that's where Goff comes in, right?
Nope, not Goff.
Oh. Who have I not said? I haven't said Josh Allen yet, right?
It's Josh Allen. It's number 3.
Josh Allen's number 3 at 8,000. I'm a little surprised by that, actually. Yeah, but I mean, you made a case for him, so it makes sense. Yeah, I guess I am surprised that I thought he would have been on the lower end.
Okay, well, I want to ask you who the lowest owned quarterback you think is, because I think it's an interesting talking point.
My guess would have been Jordan Love.
He is number 6 out of 8.
There's 2 guys less owned than Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
So who have I mentioned? We have maybe Baker Mayfield and CJ Stroud are the 2 guys I haven't mentioned, right?
Mayfield's actually number 4. Might as well just so the top 4: Brock Purdy, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, and Jordan Love's number 6. So you have between Goff, Mahomes, and Stroud. You're I guess 5, 7, and 8.
Really? That's that's interesting. Okay, so I mean, my guess it's Mahomes, Stroud, Love.
Mahomes is number 7. Goff is number 5, and Stroud is number 8. Stroud is coming in at the lowest ownership.
I'm surprised by that.
I don't see. I'd be surprised by it too, except that he was so low owned last round too. And it's Baltimore's defense. That carries some sort of prestige. I don't think Baltimore's defense is as great as people make it out to be. And so I think that there is some merit to playing him. And I thought there was last week as well. I was trying so hard to make a Stroud lineup instead of Flacco. I ended up going with Flacco in my my single entry, which it's cashed. But I still wish I would have played Stroud instead because he outscored Flacco by I think like a couple points. But Stroud is the lowest owned quarterback, and I think you could definitely make a case to play him. First of all, like I said, I don't think Baltimore's defense is that great. I think it's good. It's not like impenetrable though. And
right.
Second, even if the Texans fall way behind, there's plenty of chances for garbage time points for Stroud. So I think it's kind of crazy to think that he's the lowest owned quarterback. I definitely have a lot of interest in him, and if he's that low owned, I may just make him my single entry quarterback.
Main guy. Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. I still think, I probably like Goff ahead of him. I like Lamar again. If I'm only going to play one lineup or just 2 or 3 lineups, then I think I would still take Jackson or Goff. Maybe I still consider Purdy, as you said, mix up the stack. I think I like those guys a little more than Stroud still.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to receiver because they correlate with the quarterbacks the best. We have Amon-Ra St. Brown at the top at 8,200. Then we have 4 guys in the 7K range: Deebo Samuel, Mike Evans, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs. And then, it just drops off after that. So which of these top guys do you like the most?
Of the top guys, man, it's hard to love any of them. Like, there's not one guy that I just like love tons more than the others. But I think it's almost impossible to not consider St. Brown. Like, he's the most expensive guy on the slate. I don't know. I don't know what his ownership will be, but I just can't imagine you not consider this guy. And I would imagine a lot of people are going to be thinking about him for that reason. You already said it, right? I mean, we expect. We look at Devontae Smith. The Eagles' offense played terrible. Offensive line didn't play well. Jalen Hurts played terrible. They couldn't pick up the blitz, and yet Devontae Smith still had 141 yards in the game. So, now they go. Now the Bucks have to go on the road against a team that's just in much better shape. I mean, what's St. Brown going to do if Smith just had 140 yards? So I could easily see St. Brown having, double-digit targets in this game, 8-9 catches for over 100 yards. I think his floor is like 7 catches for 90 yards. I mean, that's like, if he had a bad game, that's going to be the case. So, yeah, he's going to be my favorite guy at 8,200. I hope at 8,200 that maybe scares people off a little bit to make him not the top 2 owned receiver.
Yeah. I mean, the Buccaneers have been bad against slot receivers all year. And now they have to play against Amon-Ra St. Brown, who plays in the slot. So I definitely have a lot of interest in him. Someone named Christian Izien is going to have to cover him. And he's not had a terrible year, this guy. I
love how you just said someone named. Like, anytime you start that phrase.
Yeah, I know. He was undrafted free agent rookie, but he hasn't been terrible this year, but still, like, you expect him to cover St. Brown. Like, give me a break. Like, St. Brown's going to go off, I think. In the first game against Tampa, he had 12 catches for 124 yards and a touchdown, only 33.4 fantasy points. So it's kind of hard to avoid him, even at 8,200. Like, I'm looking at the guys in the 7K range, like Deebo, Mike Evans, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs. Like, I can't make a case for any of these guys over St. Brown. Even right. Nico Collins has been on fire at $1,100 less. First of all, the matchup's tougher against Baltimore, and second, it's just St. Brown is just so good. I think that you have to play him, even if he's the highest owned player on the slate, which I actually haven't not looked yet. So I'm kind of curious what the ownership is, but yeah, St. Brown is the guy for me.
Yeah, I'm certainly considering, Nico Collins being, $1,100 less is certainly someone you would want to consider. But yeah, it's just almost impossible to get away from St. Brown.
Yeah, I don't think that, like, you can you can play both St. Brown and Collins. Like, I don't think the slate is that restrictive, and I actually think St. Brown is not that expensive for 8,200. Like, he was 8,600 in week 18. Like, you can make the case that he should be like 8,800 or 9,000, like, given how great he's been, and plus how good the matchup is. So I think like 8,200 is even like a slight discount for what you're getting. Mike Evans is the only guy in the 7K range I would consider, but he's been struggling lately, and he got dinged up in the Monday night game against the Eagles. Short rest week. It is a great match. The Lions give up some big plays. Like, Evans could have a deep touchdown here, maybe even 2. So I'd consider Evans, but I think that, like, if I had to order these top receivers, it would be St. Brown 1, Nico Collins 2, and then Evans 3.
Yeah, I think you're right. But really, I'm not getting to any of these 7K guys much. Other than St. Brown, I'm not going to force myself to get these guys in a lineup.
Okay, so
now if you're playing CJ Stroud as your only quarterback, because he's cheaper than the other guys, that makes it easier to get to Nico Collins, certainly.
Oh yeah, and if you're playing Mayfield, I think Evans for the same reason. Well, what about 6K range? You have Brandon Ayuk, Rushy Rice, Chris Godwin, Zay Flowers. I have to say that I like three of these guys. Do you have any interest here?
Yeah, I like several of these guys in the mix. I think you could build a bunch of lineups. Even if you're just building like you're doing a handful of lineups, you can mix it up with this crew here. I think this is kind of the bread and butter section for this week. My favorite guy in this crew is Rice. I really like with it, and I love how he's looked the last few weeks. Earlier in the year he was kind of gimmicky and inconsistent. The last month of the season he has looked like he is potential legitimate number one receiver in the NFL. He's not quite there yet, but they're using him that way. And with the price 6,800, I would imagine he's not going to be a top 3 owned. I would imagine other guys are. So my guesses are Rashee Rice is top 5 owned, but just low enough where I feel good about using him in a bunch of lineups. So he's probably my favorite. I also think the Buffalo Bills statistics, it shows that they're the 8th best against. They look like a solid lineup or it's like a solid matchup, but they're actually not as good as their stats seem to show. Like they've given up some really big plays. And so I could see a lot of people staying off of him because they look, that's a tough matchup. So anyway, yeah, Rice is probably my favorite in the bunch. There's 2 other guys I like in this. What do you think of Rice, though?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a great call on your part saying that this is a misleading number. 2 reasons for that. First, the Bills have had several injuries recently. Like they lost like half their defense against the Steelers. And I don't know who's going to play or not, but they're certainly not 8th against, 8th best against the pass. And second, even if you do think that the Bills are good against receivers, which is you could make the case that they're good against outside receivers, against slot receivers, they're the 7th worst in the NFL, and Rashee Rice plays in the slot. So it's a phenomenal matchup. I love Rashee Rice. He's my favorite play in the 6K range as well. A couple other guys I like here. First of all, Zay Flowers. Look at these finishes. Look at what he's done in 4 of his past 5 games. 23, 20, 22, and 22. This guy's been on fire to close out the year. Now he gets a Houston defense that has been so bad against the pass. We saw what Amari Cooper did to them in Week 16. Now Amari Cooper did not play well in the first round of the playoffs, but he was injured. It was clear that he wasn't 100%. I feel like Zay Flowers could kind of pick up where Cooper left off in Week 16 and kind of torch the Texans. So 6,000. I think he's a really good play. And the other guy I like in this range. So I talked about how Evans was dinged up. If you think Evans is banged up and he's not going to do much, Chris Godwin, I feel like it's a good play against the Lions. I think he's schematically might even be better. So I'm interested in him. But in order of these 4, I would go Rice, then Flowers, and Godwin, and then Ayuk. I like Ayuk, but I think the Packers are better against outside receivers than anything else defensively. So especially, it depends if Jerry Alexander plays, of course. So who else do you like in the 6K range?
Yeah, the same 4 guys you mentioned, I would rank them slightly differently. So I've got Rice number 1. We both did. I've got Flowers number 2 as well. He's looked great down the stretch. I would put Ayuk 3rd, and then I would do Godwin 4th. I still think Ayuk is just generally he's the main guy they look to in the passing game. He's their primary kind of go-to. The offense goes through him at this point. At least the passing game. Obviously, the running game goes through McCaffrey. But yeah, so I like Ayuk here in this game, and I could see this game being high scoring. I don't know what the total is on this game, but I could see this game being a high scoring game. I could see the Packers putting up some points here, and that forcing the Niners to continue to play well into the 4th quarter, which I think gives them opportunities. There's no reason they won't get in the red zone, and so I like Ayuk, and then I would put Godwin 4, and then after that I'm not looking at I'm certainly not looking to Romeo Dubs.
Yeah. John's saying avoid Diggs against the Chiefs. He's done nothing against them, especially in the playoffs. The Chiefs are really good against number 1 receivers. They are bad against number 2 receivers. So we'll get to that in a little bit. In the 5K range, you mentioned Dobbs at 5,600. He had he just went off. That was so tilting to watch because I guess no one had him, but I'm sure some people did have him, in the main contest or whatever. So that was quite annoying. And else there are only 2 other guys in the 5K range. You have Jaden Reed at 5,200, who didn't catch a single pass last week. And then Gabe Davis, who is questionable. He did not practice on Wednesday. So this is what I was talking about with the number 2 receiver. So my thinking is if Gabe Davis plays, which not looking good right now, but if he does play, I think there's a good chance that he goes off because, like I said, the Chiefs have been very leaky to number 2 receivers all year. But like I said, no practice on Wednesday is a bad sign for him.
Yeah, even if he plays, I don't want Gabe Davis. I don't want to rely on him. He's a turd. Jalen Reed's the guy. Jalen Reed's the guy that I wouldn't get to. I think he's the guy. I think lots of people are going to say, "Oh my gosh, what the heck happened to him?" And that will force. So my guess is that he will be lower owned because of that. And he's got the Q tag on him. I think that will scare people off. Jalen Reed's clearly the better receiver. He's their number 1 guy. He's the guy that goes to first. I think last week was an anomaly, and I think there's an opportunity there at 5,200. I think he's the guy in the 5K range I like the most.
So here's the thought about why he struggled. Dallas is number 3 in the NFL when it comes to covering slot receivers. And he's their slot receiver. So it was maybe just a bad matchup. Now, the Niners aren't that bad. They're like 11th, so near the middle of the pack. So you could definitely play him. So it's definitely going to be an easier matchup for that. So John asking Shakir, good value if Davis doesn't play. And also Harambe Slayer says, I think Khalil Shakir has secured the Gabe Davis role IMO. So you guys could be right about that. So
at 3,800, I mean, that's value. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, they're guys in the 4K range. Why don't we rope in Shakir here because he's the highest of the 3K range? So we have Wicks, Beckham, Watson, Bateman, and then Shakir in this group. If Gabe Davis is out, I think Khalil Shakir is a great play. 3,800. He's had double-digit fantasy points since Gabe Davis has gotten injured. And like I said, Chiefs are bad against number 2 receivers. So this is $1,200 cheaper than Gabe Davis, and he seems to be more consistent than Davis, who really relies on the deep pass. And Shakir is it's more of like just reliable type of guy. So I like Shakir as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love him, but I think he's a guy you can consider.
Well, 3,800, I think, is
right.
Great value. Do you like anyone in the 4K range?
I might the 4K range. I don't love any of these guys. If you're going to twist my arm, you could, if you're going to put a gun in my head and make me play at least one lineup with Odell Beckham Jr. I could convince myself that he's worthy of one lineup. If you're playing several lineups, maybe you get one. He's not gotten a lot of targets recently though, so it's hard to know. Like, okay, he's just not really a focal point of the offense, and that's fine, I guess. But maybe all of a sudden he will be. Maybe this is a week where he all of a sudden goes off. I could see that, but I wouldn't go out of the way for him.
Yeah, maybe they're saving him for the playoffs, perhaps. They rested him in the final week of the season, so there might be something to that. The other Baltimore receiver, Rashad Bateman, I bring him up because he's had 6 targets, 4 or 6. So he's been trending upward, whereas Beckham has kind of fallen off. Not that he's done much with those targets. 6.9, 2.4, 9.4. So it's a tough sell at 4K, especially if Shakir is available with Gabe Davis out. Just pretty tough to get to Bateman. And then there's Christian Watson. And you have to mention him because we saw what he could do. 20 and 27. Like he can just fly and catch a deep touchdown and kind of break the slate. But he's dealing with the hamstring. He may not be 100%. He had 1 target. Now I assume he's going to be healthier this week than he was last week. So like this could be the week he goes off. But I don't know. It's tough to play him without knowing that he's 100%. Yeah,
I don't want Christian Watson in my life. I don't want to have to root for him. I don't want to do. He was on my season-long fantasy league in our league. He was on my team all year, and I think I played him once because I don't want to root for him.
I don't blame you.
There's some players just like I don't care what the stats say. I just don't want to. I don't want to have to root for that guy.
Fair enough. All right, so we talked about Shakir in the 3K range. Anyone else you like in the 3K range? So 3 other guys who are sticking out.
3 other guys. Oh, that's interesting. I don't have 3 other guys. Justin Watson is the only guy that I think might be worthy of some consideration. I kind of liked him last week. He's gotten a handful of targets in multiple games in the middle of the year. Then they kind of went away from him. But I wonder, as I look at the Buffalo defense, which is just seemingly especially weak, kind of in the middle of the field, or not like a slot, like covering the middle, those kind of 15 to 20-yard routes where Justin Watson seemed to excel, for a couple games in the middle of the season. I wonder if this is a game that I'd be willing to put him in at 3,300.
Okay, yeah, I could see it. The three guys I had in mind outside of Shakir, first of all, Josh Reynolds, who last week had 13 fantasy points. He's 4,300 now. He's 3,700. I don't quite understand that. He's had 7 targets in each of the past 2 games. Khalif Raymond's out, or at least I think he's going to be out. If he remains out, then I think you have to consider Reynolds, who he gets targets. He's not like the best receiver, but he gets deep passes, and he can catch a deep touchdown and kind of go off at 3,700 against a bad Tampa Bay secondary. I think that he's definitely worthy of consideration. Trey Palmer in the same game. So he's had 13 and a half in 3 of the past 2 of the past 3 games. Now he only caught 1 pass last week for 2 targets, but before that he had 6 targets, 5 and 6. He seemed to be more heavily involved recently. And like I said, if Evans is banged up, he might get more of a target share. And Detroit's secondary is pretty bad. So 3,500 kind of looks appealing, I think. Go ahead.
The only thing about Trey Palmer is that in this game, he won't be covered by James Bradbury. And so, you can't imagine he'll catch anything.
You haven't seen Detroit secondary. I mean, they're pretty bad too. They're not as bad as the Eagles secondary, so I think you have a good point there. The last guy I like, and this is a little vomit-inducing, Robert Woods, because he's pretty dusty. I know he hasn't done much recently. He's had double-digit fantasy points in weeks 1 and 2. Hasn't done much since. However, the Raven among every single playoff team remaining, the Ravens are the worst against slot receivers. That's where Robert Woods plays. So 3,500, if you play CJ Stroud, I could see playing Robert Woods, like 4 targets here, 6'5". I think there are better options. Like I said, Shakir is so much better than this. However, I think that this is the best matchup for any slot receiver. Not that means a lot with Robert Woods at this point of his career, but I just thought I'd highlight like the matchup, and I think he could get to 10 fantasy points. I could certainly see that.
Yeah, Mr. Bobby Trees is not going to make it into many of my lineups. Sorry, bro. Sorry, Bobby.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's had much better days, but like I said, of all the matchups, of the slot receivers, he's the best one. So, all right, Sue, who are the top 3 projected owned receivers this week?
Well, I think we already mentioned. I mentioned St. Brown, right? I would imagine he's top.
He's number 1.
Yeah, he's going to be people are going to be all over him, I would imagine. That's not going to deter me. I think I'm going to be okay with playing him quite a bit. My other 2 guesses have got to be one of the Niners receivers have got to be in the top 3. So either Debo or Ayuk. I don't know. Maybe I would guess maybe Debo.
Debo's number 3, and as a bonus, Ayuk is number 4.
All right, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. And then I would imagine
real quick, because remember I was talking about how Brock Purdy was, he's the projected highest owned quarterback.
Yeah,
like this is the stack. People are playing Purdy with Samuel and Ayuk. So if you want to get different, how about playing neither receiver? Play right. Ayuk with McCaffrey and Kittle. I think that's the best way to go.
Yeah, that's probably. I actually like that a lot. Okay, we got St. Brown was number 1, you said, and then
Samuel number 3.
The Niners are 3 and 4.
Yep.
Okay, so then I would imagine I'm looking at the list here, looking at the slate receivers. I bet one of those lower end guys are highly owned. Maybe like a Jaden Reed, maybe. Jaden Reed or Nico Collins.
So Mike is guessing Evans. Evans is he's number 8, and you guess Nico Collins, he's number 7. Jaden Reed, and you also guess Jaden Reed is number 6.
Oh, that's surprising. I'm really Collins is number 7. That surprises me based on. The number. Oh man, some guys that I like that might be highly owned. It can't be Stephon Diggs, right? People are not going to be on Diggs.
No, Diggs is number 10, which is way too high. Way too high.
Yeah, it's got to be one of the guys we like. It's got to be Flowers or Rice, right?
Yes. Which one? It's one of them. Yeah.
I guess Flowers.
Flowers number 5. So Rice is number 2.
That's a bummer, man.
Yeah, the 2 receivers we like the most, St. Brown and Rice, are 1 and 2.
Yeah. I'm not. I think I'd like to believe I'm a unique thinker, but I guess not.
Well, with 4 games, it's kind of tough,
Yeah. St. Brown being St. Brown being owned a bunch doesn't bother me. Rice being number 2 does make me rethink him. Make him rethink a little bit.
I guess so. I just think he's so good. He's been so consistent. Let's look at this again real fast. Like, the worst performance he had was against that was the game against the Raiders at Christmas. The Raiders had a great defense. So if you exclude that, you have 30, 20, 24, 19. This like 14.4 here, 27. This guy's been so consistent. Like, I'm fine playing Rice, honestly. Okay. Like, he should be high. Like, he should be higher priced than this. Like, this is a misprice. He should be 7,500 at least. And like, I think he should be more expensive than Evans and Collins as well, and certainly Diggs. Like, Diggs is way overpriced, 7K. Like, Diggs should be 6,000. Like, given how he's performed, like, it's just been so bad. I don't know how you play. I don't know how you justify playing him. Like, even if you're playing Josh Allen, like, I'm just going to count on Josh Allen scoring rushing touchdowns at this point. Like, I have no interest in playing Diggs, 7,000. So, it's interesting ownership. I think my main takeaway, like I said before, with Purdy, if you play Purdy, don't play Samuel, and certainly don't play both of them. You could get away with playing one. I would play neither, and I'd go McCaffrey and Kittle. So, speaking of McCaffrey, he's the highest priced running back at 8,800. No one else in the 7K range. So then there's a bunch of guys in the 6K range. So, well, first of all, are you going to play McCaffrey at 8,800?
I'm going to get to a bunch of McCaffrey because I think he's going to score points. I mean, it doesn't matter. The amount of money he would have to cost for me not to consider him is, I'd consider him in the 9K range. He'd be 10,000 before I not consider him at this point. And I really like your idea of Purdy with McCaffrey. I mean, McCaffrey. Look at the last few weeks: 5 targets, 10 targets, 5 targets. Like, he gets a lot of targets. He's in the passing. He's involved in the passing attack. So, yeah, I could easily see a Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey stack being a stack that I rely on quite a bit going into the weekend.
So my concern with McCaffrey, now I don't like. I'm certainly going to consider playing him. However, he's coming off a calf strain, and now he practiced fully on Tuesday, so it's a good sign. But what if he aggravates it, first of all, and second, what if the Niners are way up, and considering that he's coming off this injury, they say, we're going to give the ball to Elijah Mitchell a lot in the second half. If they're up by 3 touchdowns in the third quarter. Now, certainly he could have scored some of the touchdowns to be up by that amount. But, like, what if Purdy throws the touchdown to Kittle and then Ayuk, and then they get a defensive touchdown and they're up like 28-7 in the third quarter, like, and they start going to Elijah Mitchell. That is my concern with McCaffrey. So I don't think he's like the slam dunk play that he usually would be, given that he's coming off that injury. So I don't know. I think I may, like, I'm playing one lineup in the single entry and the spy. I may not get to McCaffrey, like, and that's the reason why. And it could kill me. Like, he could get 40, like, and I just might have to live with that. But I'd rather play St. Brown than McCaffrey at his price.
Yeah, if you're only playing one lineup, I could see you making the case, because there are some running backs lower price that I like quite a bit. There's one especially in the 5K range I like a lot. So, yeah, I think. I think it makes sense to maybe consider not going McCaffrey. I'm going to play a lot of lineups, and so, if I play 100 lineups this weekend, I could see McCaffrey being in 20% of them or more, which would be significant.
Yeah, I like how we have different thought processes here, because you are the multi entry player, and I'm like the single entry guy or 3
Sure.
max. It's pretty funny how, like, it's different thinking here. Josh asking, did you guys touch on running back ownership? So we usually go quarterback, then receiver, and then running back, because receiver pairs so well with quarterback. But yeah, we'll get to that in a second. John saying Travis Kelce is worth the price before you guys talk about tight ends. Okay, so we'll see if that's true. And then we got a question here, or a statement here. Jameson Williams did score against the Bucs last game. We did talk about James Williams real quick. Let's get to that. I know he scored against in that Tampa game he had what 2 catches or for 53 yards and touchdown. I can't get to this guy. Like he's just been such a big disappointment.
Yeah, he's not a focal point in the offense. He's just not involved. Like they're not making an effort to get the ball to him. He's the third or fourth read anytime he's in the play. So it's like, yeah, you got 2 catches, but like I don't know, it's kind of fluky.
If this guy weren't considered a top prospect for Alabama, let's just say like he's like Joe Schmo from I don't know. Let's just say northwest, southwest San Diego State. Like, is anyone ever going to play this guy in any lineup?
Shepherd's College,
right? So shout out to Boy Meets World, by the way. That's the cool Eric Matthews trying to get into northwest, southwest San Diego State. No one would even consider James Williams. Like people remember him from Alabama, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's good," but he hasn't been good. So I can't get to him. I don't know. Anyway, so you said you liked some of the guys in the 6K range for running backs. There are a bunch of them: Aaron Jones, Jahmyr Gibbs, Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco, James Cook, Dave Montgomery. I like you. I think that there are several options here. Who do you like the most?
Going back to the well, I think it's Rashad White. I know Detroit has a fantastic running defense. But Tampa Bay, like they're gonna rely on him. So they're gonna attempt to run the ball, even if they're not successful. They're gonna give him some plays. He is their number 1 red zone option. So if they do get in the red zone, he's the guy they're gonna look to first. And he's really involved in the passing game. In the last couple. Now he didn't have to be involved against the Eagles, but because they were running the ball so effectively, and the Eagles didn't want to cover receivers down the field. So why throw the running back 5 yards on the field when all your receivers are wide open 20 yards on the field? But I would imagine in this game, like they're going to throw to Rashad White quite a bit. So I could easily see this be kind of like a, on the higher end. I could see him getting 6 or 7 catches in this game for 30 or 40 yards easily. And like if they do get in the red zone, I think he's going to be the number 1 option. So yeah, I think Rashad White is the kind of guy that I want to have, even though there's a great defense there. And I think that's going to keep people away. I think the Detroit being the best defense is going to keep his ownership down really low, which I think makes him more appealing to me.
Yeah, we'll see what the ownership is in a bit. The guy I like here the most is Isaiah Pacheco. He's been, except for last week, he's been like really involved in the passing game. 7 targets, 4 or 5. Isaiah McKinnon, Jerick McKinnon. Combine the two. Jerick McKinnon is on IR, so he's kind of taken over the passing game role. And plus, he's a tough runner. Buffalo's not good against the run, so I like Pacheco quite a bit. It's been a while since he's had single-digit fantasy points. Week 9 was the last time. That was that weird Germany game. Ever since the bye, he's had 10+ fantasy points in every game. At 6,400, seems like he's a little underpriced. I think he should be closer to the 7K range. So he's the guy I like the most.
There's one other running. He's probably been. What was that?
You broke up for a second.
Oh, there's one running back in this range that I like a lot, which is going to be weird because he's kind of been like the poster child of the kind of player I hate, like playing and betting on. He's been my whipping boy.
Can I guess who it is?
Yes.
Is it Dave Montgomery?
It is David Montgomery. I like him a lot this week. I like him more than Gibbs. If you look back the way that this team has played the last few weeks, in the games that mattered, in the game against the Rams, in the game they played 2 weeks ago against the Cowboys, the week before that when they played, I think it was the Vikings. The last several games, when the Lions had the game, when the game was like on the line, when things were tight and they needed to trust the player, David Montgomery is the guy they went to in those situations, not Gibbs. Now, Gibbs is certainly more athletic. He's electrifying. He's a fantastic player, fun to watch. He's a home run threat every time, all of that. But it's clear that the Lions trust David Montgomery maybe more than they trust any other player on their roster, it seems, because in the biggest moments, he's the guy they go to. And this Buccaneers defense, we saw up the middle, DeAndre Swift was very successful up the middle on Sunday night. So I could easily see Montgomery being the guy, getting 15 carries for 60, 70 yards and a touchdown. I think this is he's not going to be involved in the passing game. Certainly that's not Montgomery's jam. But I think at 6,100, people are going to be all over Gibbs. I think 6,100, David Montgomery, he's the play that I want to get to.
Yeah, he said touchdowns in the past 4 games. So he's going to get the red zone work for sure. Harambe says Bucks D is legit though. It's not the easiest matchup, but I think that Kenny is saying that he's going to be low owned because of that, and he's very prone to scoring touchdowns. And we've seen Detroit's. I think Jacob actually made this point yesterday that the matchup looks tough against Tampa Bay's run defense, but Detroit has an elite offensive line and they can run the ball against anyone. So I think that Montgomery is a pretty solid play at 6,100. I think that another guy is from the same game as Pacheco. You have James Cook at 6,300. Look at what happened in that Kansas City game the first time. James Cook had 10 carries for 58 rushing yards. This is fine. He also had 5 catches for 83 receiving yards and a touchdown. He had 25 fantasy points in that game. James Cook was the focal point of the offense in that game. And I don't see why they shy away from that, given how much success they had the first time. It seems like the Bills have had the Chiefs number. And given that, Stephon Diggs has just not been playing well, I think they're going to continue to get Cook more involved. 4 targets, 3 targets. I know some of these results don't look very appealing, but maybe that'll just help the ownership. So, and like I said, we'll see ownership in a little bit. But yeah, James Cook 6,300 is another guy like this range.
Yeah, I like him. We also there's one other guy that I like quite a bit. In this range, not as much as the other guys we've already mentioned, but Aaron Jones with the Q tag at 6,700. I've not had a lot of Aaron Jones this year. I've written him off. Every week I keep thinking, he's not going to perform. And he just keeps shutting me up. He's been injured. He's missed a bunch of games this year because of injury, but when he's been in, he's clearly their best option and they like him. And so I think maybe too much, or too little too late. But I think I finally come around to realizing Aaron Jones is still a really good player, and I've kind of missed out on using him this year. And I kind of don't want to do that anymore. And so I'm sure now the week that I want to play him will be the week where he gets, 8 carries for 16 yards. But yeah, I think I still like him. He looked good against the Cowboys. Obviously 3 touchdowns. We love that. Not involved in the passing game the last 10 weeks. That was what we want. But yeah, I like. What do you think of Jones?
So it's a really tough matchup. I love the player. I just think the top matchup is very difficult against the Niners, who are great against the run. It should be noted, though, the Packers are 6-0 in games this year where Jones has been 100%. This is the first game. They clobbered Chicago. Then they came back. Then he was injured for a while. Then he came back against the Rams. He looked great for one game, and then he got injured again. And then he came back for Carolina here. And ever since he came back, completely healthy, 127, 120, 111, 118, super consistent. This 120, by the way, I needed 1 fewer yard from him. That cost me like $4,000 on Raymakers because my opponent was going against him. He passed me with 1 yard by 1 yard. So that was very sad. But yeah, Jones is a phenomenal player when he's healthy, and he's definitely healthy right now. Despite this Q tag, he's a knee/finger. I think they're just resting him, so I don't think you need to worry about that. The Q tag could keep the ownership a little bit suppressed, though. Yeah. Do you like anyone in the 5K range? There's a couple of guys of note. You have Gus Edwards, Devin Singletary. As I mentioned before, Elijah Mitchell. If you want to take a shot on him, I wouldn't, but he's there. Any consideration of these guys?
To me, it's Devin Singletary. It's odd. You look at Devin Singletary, his price point, 5,700. His average points per game are in line with the guys that are priced in the low 6,000s. He's kind of in that category, but it looks depressed, because or suppressed, I guess is the word, not depressed. It looks suppressed, mostly because there are just games where they didn't use him this year, but he's been their main ball carrier for most of the last month and a half of the season. So Yeah, I think and he's been mostly involved in the passing game. I can easily see them trying to come out and establish the run. But also, if they fall behind and they're having to throw a bunch, I mean, C.J. Stroud is going to be dumping the ball off to him. I could imagine that being the case. And he's been one of their primary red zone options, the last few weeks. So, yeah, I think Devin Singletary is a great play at 5,700.
Yeah, I think so as well. So he has elite usage, like 16 touches here, 25, 19. And this one, they were just getting blown out, but 30 touches here. So the elite usage is certainly appealing, 5,700. Now, some people might be like, again, this is like, oh, Baltimore defense. How do you play someone against Baltimore's defense? It's just surprising to me. Baltimore has the 5th worst run defense in terms of EPA. The 4 teams worse than them are the Seahawks, Redskins, Eagles, and Giants. Somehow 3 teams in the NFC East. Plus the Seahawks. So, right, yeah. So, like, the Ravens have been pretty bad against the run. The only reason why you see this 14th here is because they've been way up on many of their opponents. And so it seems the same thing as Dallas. Like Dallas, their run defense rankings don't look bad, but that was because they're way up on bad teams. And the same thing with Baltimore. Baltimore has crushed bad teams all year. Those teams haven't been able to run on them. If the Texans stay in this game, I think Singletary is going to have success running the ball. So 5,700, I think he's a great play. I agree with you. I like him a lot.
Yeah, nice.
All right, so ownership for running backs. Let's get to this. Who are the top 3 projected highest owned running backs this week?
McCaffrey's going to be all over the place, right? People are going to love him.
Yes, he is number 1.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, that's an easy guess. Just because.
By the way, he's projected for 91% ownership.
Wow,
that's insane. So I'll give you the 9% fading him. Apparently.
Yeah, that is absurd. Wow. Okay, the next guys I'm looking. Okay, next we got Aaron Jones, Gibbs, Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco. Of the more expensive guys, my guess is Jahmyr Gibbs probably gets a lot of action. He's my guess for number 2.
He is number 6.
Oh, that's lower than expected. Okay, that's interesting. I would then guesstimate that. I think Isaiah Pacheco going against Buffalo with a 16th rank. People are going to see that being. I would imagine Pacheco is probably highly owned too.
Yeah, he's number 2.
Yeah, that's not a surprise. And then I would imagine there's not a lot of players here. Yeah, I would imagine it's got to be one of the other guys, right? It's got to be either Aaron Jones or Rashad White or James Cook. Maybe the Q tag scares people off for Jones. So I'm going to guess I'm going to guess Rashad White.
So you guessed 3, 4, and 5 in the wrong order. So Jones is 5, White is 4, Cook is 3.
Cook at 3. Okay. I guess that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Dave Montgomery, by the way, 7. For those wondering, you're talking about
there's only a few running backs you're really looking at, right? There's only 10 guys you're going to consider. So
right.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm going to be all over Montgomery. I can't believe that. It's just gross.
It's funny that you say you're only looking at 10 running backs because I was looking at the 11th highest owned running back. I was like, Kyle Juszczyk, number 11. I'm like, oh wait, there are only 10 guys you can really use. So I guess like Juszczyk is 4,000, and so we were like, oh, maybe he'll catch a touchdown. Like, kind of makes sense.
He's the 11th owned running back.
Yeah, funny. Yeah. So
I mean, of the cheap guys, we didn't even mention like real cheap guys like Chase Edmonds, like you could consider maybe he's a guy to randomly throw in there. Like I think your Elijah Mitchell point is probably helpful. But maybe AJ Dillon gets a couple carries. If you really want to be crazy and want to really try to zig, kind of like maybe one of those guys is worth playing. Justice Hill maybe is worth a little bit of action. You can make an argument to have if you're going to play 20 lineups or a dozen lineups, having Hill in one of them maybe is worth it. I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at these stats, like you shouldn't go too deep because Keaton Mitchell was here and he got hurt. And so the past 3 games, 8.7, 22.2 with 5 catches, 64 yards, a touchdown, and then 5.6. Don't really look into that because that was the game there where starters are sitting. And so maybe it's actually a bad sign that he played when the starters are sitting. But I think there is some merit to playing Hill at 4,800. I think I'd rather go to a receiver in that range than the flex. And plus, like I like some of these other running backs, so it's tough to play Hill, but I don't think he's the worst option at 4,800. I think he's okay. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to tight ends. Travis Kelce at the top, 6,000. Sam Laporta, 5,900. George Kittle, 5,200. And then Mark Andrews, who may play this week at 5,000. Are you getting to any of these top guys?
Yeah, I think I want Laporta. You know, we rarely want to pay up for guys, but I just think Laporta is going to be worth it. I could see him. He has become a significant focal point in their offense, and in a way that I just would not have expected from a rookie tight end. And so we saw the Bucs. I mean, the Bucs were terrible against the Eagles in the middle of the field. Devontae Smith coming over the middle of the field, Goddard getting passes and touchdowns. So I could see Laporta really just torching them. And I would be all in on a Goff, Laporta, St. Brown stack. You know, it's an expensive stack to some extent, but I think it would be worth it.
Yeah, I like Laporta a lot. And so, like, what I usually say for tight ends is that you either want to pay up or you want to just go to the bottom. Because like the upside that these guys have in the 4K range just isn't there compared to receivers. And so I'd rather just get to the bottom if you're going to just pay down, like all the way to the bottom, like 3,500 or less. But there is merit to paying up for these guys too. If you think that one of these guys is going to have 20 plus fantasy points, then you should play him. And I think that you can make the case for Laporta. I agree with you. I think he's the best play. But I also like George Kittle a lot. The Packers, we just saw what Jake Ferguson did against the Packers. Like Ferguson had like 37 fantasy points. Like Kittle, I don't think Kittle's going to have that, but like I think he could have 16 plus or 22 like he had in these games. I think it's a great matchup. And like I said, if you're playing Purdy, I would definitely recommend getting to Kittle instead of those receivers, at least one of those receivers. So, yeah. What do you think about Kittle?
Yeah, I like him. I think you make a great point. Laporta I like a little more. Kittle, my only problem with Kittle is I think he's going to be number one owned tight end. So it does make me a little bit nervous. But, you know, your point around making, you know, kind of going away from fading the receivers, if you're going to play Purdy, which I intend to have a bunch of Purdy as well, was my thinking, I'm going to have to play him with someone. And so, yeah, McCaffrey and Kittle probably makes the most sense. I'm still going to probably have, you know, do a McCaffrey Ayuk and then also do a McCaffrey Debo, you know, and then do some McCaffrey. I probably will have Purdy McCaffrey quite a bit and then mix up who the third guy in the stack is. But Kittle's definitely going to be a guy I get to in that case. But if I was not doing Purdy, I'm not playing Kittle. But I'm willing to play Laporta even without Goff.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So what are your thoughts on Kelce then? 6,000. 14 is his best fantasy performance since week 14. But he did have a 14.3 against Buffalo. So any thoughts on playing Kelce?
They just don't look the same. He doesn't look the same. It's hard for me to just bank on him. You know, yeah, I mean, finally this past week, you know, against Miami, double-digit targets. Their offense looks better, but just as like they're running the ball more, they're spreading the ball around more. Rashid Rice has really asserted himself as a good option down the field. Yeah, I don't feel the need to force Travis Kelce.
Yeah, me neither. He shouldn't be the most expensive tight end. This is
name recognition only, right? I mean,
right. This is just price memory at this point. If you were just looking honestly and like had no knowledge of his prior years, like he would be below Kittle at this point.
Easily.
I think he'd be maybe even less than Kincaid. So yeah, I think he's just way too expensive. Okay, so what are you doing with the Baltimore tight ends? Because if Andrews is out, I think Likely is in a smash spot. Houston's really bad against tight ends. So Likely gets a great boost here if Andrews is out. However, Andrews may play. Andrews was full in practice Wednesday. Looks like he's going to play, which excites me because I have a Rainmaker tier card of Andrews. So can't wait to use that. Although I just don't know like how much he's going to play. Like it just might be fool's gold, I think. But anyway, if Andrews is declared active, are you playing him at all?
I'm not playing either of those guys, no matter what.
Okay.
I just don't trust the guy right like maybe he'll come out and score and catch 12 passes and 3 touchdowns. You know, I don't know. Guys coming off of injury in this sort of situation, I just don't like it. And Isaiah Likely has just not been good. they've not been going out of his way. They've not gone. I know what you're saying about Houston being bad, but like I don't foresee them going out of their way to make him a part of the offense. He's certainly not going to be a red zone option when they're in the red zone. The red zone options are going to be receivers running the ball or Lamar running the ball. So even against even against a team that should be a good matchup, I just don't trust they're going to get on the ball. So I don't know. It's hard for me to spend up. I'd rather spend 3,000. There are 3 receivers and 3 tight ends in the 3,000s. I'd rather have over likely at 4,700.
I mean, I think Likely's been better recently. Just forget this game because he didn't play a full game here because the stars are out. But three of his last 4 he's had 18, 18, and 19. So he's been better. I think that he got off to a slow start when he took over for Andrews, but I think he's kind of picked up the pace since then.
The touchdown against Miami were fluky.
Yeah, that's true.
So I struggle to trust. That's my thought. I think it's a Lamar game, and Lamar and Flowers kind of deal.
Okay, so you started mentioning Kincaid and Schultz. Any thoughts on them?
No, I don't like those guys either. They're fine. I mean, like if I don't want to spend that much on those guys. I don't think their upside's there as much as the other guys.
I agree. I mean, the Chiefs are really good against tight ends. They're top 5. So it's a bad matchup for Kincaid. And then Schultz, the Ravens are also great against tight ends. So no need to play him. He had 2.4 fantasy points in that first game. So I would not play them. All right. So 3K range. I think there's one guy who really stands out here, but there are multiples that you can play here. So any thoughts on these guys?
I mean, to me, it's either Cade Otton or one of the Packers tight ends. So you got 3 guys here. My favorite is the other 3 guys. I think the talent's there. Now they spread the ball out. The Packers are spreading the ball around very effectively. So it's hard to know which of those guys is going to get the targets. But I think Musgrave is a better player, so I'm willing to spend the 3,600 to get Musgrave. And then we just saw what Cade Otton did. Again, it was albeit against a team in the Eagles with terrible linebacking and terrible coverage, but gosh, he just had 11 targets. It's hard to ignore this guy at 3,500.
Yeah, especially if Evans is banged up. He's just going to get more targets. Detroit's also bad against tight ends. So it's actually they're not terrible, but they're certainly below average against tight ends. So it's a good matchup for sure. Of all the guys in the 3K range, I think Otton is the guy I like the most. Don't play Brevin Jordan, by the way. People are going to be chasing that. He had 14, but he was only 1 catch. So not going to happen. Probably not going to happen again, but before that happens again. So I think that if I'm going down, I'd say Otton. I do like one of the Packer tight ends. I do agree that Musgrave are over crap. I think Otton's my favorite play down here. If I'm spending up, it's going to be Laporta or Kittle.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
Okay, so who are the top 3 highest owned tight ends this week?
Well, it's got to be Kittle, right? Because with Purdy,
number 1. There you go.
Yeah, he's going to be. I really don't. I would imagine Laporta gets a lot of love as well.
It's number 3.
And and then probably Kelsey. I would imagine Kelsey's number 2.
Number 4.
Huh. Okay. I mean, maybe people are chasing Cade Otton. Cade Otton probably number 2.
I'm surprised Otton's the slow. He's number 9.
Really?
Yeah, I'm shocked. Maybe it's just easy to get a lineup together and you don't need to save money. I haven't built a lineup yet, so maybe that's the case.
I'm really surprised by that. Okay, so then so Kittle number 1. You said Laporta was 3, right?
Yep.
And then Kelsey was what number?
4.
Because there's 4.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. I'm gonna guess. I mean, the other big names are Kincaid and Schultz, right? So it's got to be one of those guys. I would imagine. I'm gonna guess it's who's got the better matchup.
It's both. They're both pretty bad.
Yeah. My guess is in Kincaid is number 2.
Kincaid's number 2. Good job. Schultz number 6, by the way. Tucker Kraft number 5, which is a little surprising. Then Mark Andrews is 7 and Luke Musgrave's 8.
Now, if Andrews number 7 feels higher than I expected. But people are just expecting him to play, so I guess that's going to be the case.
Yeah, what would you do if you're me and you have this Raymaker Mark Andrews card? Obviously, like you have to play what you have, but
Yeah,
like,
I think you have to play him. Like I just,
but like, do I like? So the problem is like, I have to put him in a lineup with another Rainmaker card and 3 legendary cards. So like, if he sucks, I feel like I'm wasting those cards. You know what I mean?
yeah, man, it's that's a bummer.
Yeah. So I may just wait it out and not use it. Well, I'll put it in some sort of lineup, but it's not going to be Rainmakers here. I don't think so. All right. It's anyway. The first world Rainmaker problems, right?
Yes, right.
All right. Defensive rankings, defensive options here. We have Ravens and Niners at the top. We have Buccaneers, Packers at the bottom. Any defense you like here?
I don't love. There's not one defense that I just think is awesome. The Niners is the one you have people aren't going to pay up for. I think so. I'm not interested in that one. I think Detroit's probably my favorite. If I'm picking one, I don't like spending that much on defense, 3,300, but I could just easily see Mayfield just making dumb decisions and just, we love Baker Mayfield because he's a super entertaining character. He's got great games, but man, he's got some bonehead games, and we've seen that. So I could easily see the Lions being the team that just baits him into making really stupid plays. So I think the Lions are probably the team I might like the most.
I like your call with the Lions. My thinking is like one of these Chiefs-Bills teams. So the Bills get they play against the Chiefs, who have made so many mistakes, so many drop passes. So like I can see like this Chiefs offense imploding. Like we saw what they did on Christmas against the Raiders, like two touchdowns for the Raiders in like 7 seconds. So that could always happen again. The problem is like the Bills defense has gotten so many injuries. Like it's funny that like the Bills linebacking core back in the day used to be known as the Bermuda Triangle the linebackers, because like running backs would go in and they never come out. But like this linebacking core is like, it's like Camden, New Jersey linebackers. It's like you go in, you want to get out right away, and like you probably do. So I think that the Chiefs
that was a very odd analogy. I don't think I followed the Camden, New Jersey one.
What? No, if you go into Camden, New Jersey, you're going to leave right away, right? You're going to escape as quickly as possible. So it's like the opposite of Bermuda Triangle, right? Camden, New Jersey. You know what I'm talking about.
Wow. Well, man, shots fired at the pride and joy of South Jersey.
The armpit of America, yes.
Chiefs is a rough town.
It's pretty bad. Chiefs defense.
I didn't think Camden, New Jersey was going to be a central part of any analogies tonight on the podcast.
I mean, anyone in the tri-state area knows how crappy that.
Oh, sorry. There are people right now listening to this, watching this, that don't know anything about Camden, and they have no idea why this is funny.
Well, don't ever visit Camden, New Jersey if you're like, oh, let me check this place out. Maybe it's not as bad as Walt says it is.
So good.
It's the opposite of Bermuda, as I promise you. So Chiefs defense against Josh Allen is prone to making mistakes. So my thing is like one of these. Actually, like kind of prefer Chiefs defense. Like I could see like Allen just like screwing up or something like that. But I do like your call about the Lions. So. Who are the 3 highest owned defenses?
I would imagine the Niners are highly owned.
Number 2.
Oh, okay. I bet my Lions pick is probably pretty high.
Actually, they're number 7. So
the people are not following me here.
Well, that's a good sign, right?
Yeah. Your picks. The Bills Chiefs are probably the other 2 top 3 is my guess. Then
yeah, Bills number 1, Chiefs number 3, unfortunately. So may have to go with your Lions. Who do you think is the lowest owned defense?
Lowest owned defense, I would my guess would have been the Ravens, just because how expensive they are.
Well, they're number 5.
Okay, so who are we missing? You said Ravens are 5, Niners we said.
So Bills are 1, Niners are 2, Chiefs are 3, Ravens are 5, Lions are 7. So,
okay, so it's we got Packers, Buccaneers, and Texas. We haven't mentioned yet. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Of those 3, my guess is I I would imagine the Buccaneers are actually owned quite a bit because they're so cheap. People like to pay down for defense.
They're number 4, yeah.
I would guess then. I would guess the Packers are probably the least owned then.
See, they're number 6. The Texans are dead last. So CJ Stroud is the lowest owned quarterback. Texans are lowest owned defense. So no one thinks the Texans have a chance. I actually think they can keep it close.
Oh yeah, I mean they're really well coached. CJ Stroud's really accurate. I think they'll keep I think they should keep the game close. I don't know what the line is on that. In my current life, in a previous life, I would have cared about that, but at current time, I don't.
Yeah. John's saying Chiefs because Bills are turnover prone. Yeah, I think so as well.
That's a good yeah, it's possible.
And John said Kincaid because he's been on fire the last 3 games. Yeah, he's been hot. I just think this matchup's pretty tough against the Chiefs. The tight ends have done poorly against them. And then Harambe Slayer was a suggestion for defense. He says Buccaneers worth a shot. They dropped like 3 picks versus Goff last time. They can stuff the run. Worth it at the price point. Not good play. Yeah, I mean they're average zone. So I think that they're worth a shot. I think. Although I think Detroit kind of dismantles them pretty easily. I remember that Jared Goff played that game outdoors where he's less comfortable. Like he's so much better in the dome.
Is your guesstimate that it's going to be a Lions-Niners NFC title game then?
Yeah, and I'm really eager to see if my analysis of last year is true. And last year I said that the Niners were very lucky that the Lions didn't make the playoffs instead of the Seahawks. It's like the Niners destroyed the Seahawks in the first round. I thought the Lions would have matched up much better. Now I'm not saying the Lions would have beaten the Niners, but I think that they match up really well because like think about what the Niners do the best, and that's like defensively is getting to the quarterback with their 4 guys. The Lions have a great offensive line, like maybe the best offensive line in the NFL. So like they could keep those guys at bay. The thing the Niners do best offensively is running the ball with Christian McCaffrey. Detroit's number 1 against the run. And what are the Niners worst at defensively is stopping slot receivers. And you have Amon-Ra St. Brown there. So like it feels like the Lions match up pretty well against the Niners. Like it wouldn't surprise me at all if they pulled the upset.
Lions in the Super Bowl would be quite remarkable.
Yeah, especially because I bet them 30-1 at the beginning of the season. So that was my biggest play too. So I'm really hoping for it.
Well, I'm rooting for them now, just for you.
Thank you. Can't Make an Eagle says Otten had a big day against pathetic Eagles defense. I wouldn't expect that again. I don't think he's going to have the same sort of game, but Detroit has not been good against tight ends, so I think he's going to be pretty decent.
Yeah. I mean, he could be right. The Eagles are pretty pathetic, so I saw it live.
Yeah, they're really bad. They couldn't tackle at all. It's ridiculous.
I never seen anything like it. It's just unbelievable.
It is so bad. All right, so you want to build? Let's build a couple lineups here. Any suggestion for what the stack should be?
Let's start with you mentioned Purdy, McCaffrey, and then kind of mixing that up with third player in there. Let's see how that works out.
All right, so let's go Purdy, McCaffrey, Kittle. And so we're not playing any of the top receivers. Let's see if we can get Amon-Ra St. Brown in here. So we have 42.60 left over. Let's play defense. I don't know which defense you want to use. This is pretty expensive already, so I think we should go like Tampa, maybe Tampa or let's go Chiefs, Steve. Let's go Chiefs. So we have 46.50 per player. So we need a running back, which is a problem because the cheapest running back we like is 5,700. So we have to get cheaper at receiver. So I think we have to play one of the 3K guys at the very least, maybe even 2. So any suggestions for the 3K receiver? Shakir maybe or someone else?
Yeah, I mean, who are the other guys you mentioned?
So Shakir with Josh Reynolds, Robert Woods, probably not him. Trey Palmer. Going to be daring Bo Melton, 3,300.
I think Reynolds is probably the best bet in that category, but you've already got St. Brown, so I guess Shakir's the guy. Okay,
Shakir gets us to 49.33 left. So I think we still need someone who's relatively cheap. Doesn't have to be 3K. It could be, I know you don't like Christian Watson. I don't really like Bateman either. So maybe it is Reynolds as well. Like, I think with this sort of build, you might need 2 3K receivers, or if you want, we can go double tight end with Cade Otton.
I think I would go double tight end. I think that's probably a better. I think Otton or one of the other 3, one of the Packers guys. I think those guys have better upside than a Trey Palmer at this point, honestly.
Okay, so Otten was not that highly owned, so let's go with Otten. So we have 56.50 left per player. I think we have to fit in our running back. So which one do you want? Do you want Jones or do you want Montgomery in here or?
Oh yeah, I mean I like Montgomery, but Montgomery and St. Brown in the same lineup doesn't feel great.
Right. So do you want to go Singletary instead?
Yeah, let's try Singletary. See how that feels.
Singletary. So we need 5,600 for receiver, which is Romeo Doubs or Jaden Reed.
Oh, it's Reed. I mean, I think Reed's a much better. I don't know.
Okay. Did you hear that bell that go off that just went off, or is it just my end?
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, I don't. I must be something that I have open. Anyway, people might be thinking I'm crazy. I just heard like a large ding. I never heard that before. It might be some window I have open. All right, so this lineup is Purdy, McCaffrey, Singletary, St. Brown, Shakir, Jaden Reed, George Kittle, K. Dot, and Chiefs defense. How do you think this looks?
I like it. I think it's great. This is $1 million winner right there.
Okay, all right. So if you guys play this, make sure you use one different player. You have $400 left over. You can upgrade Chiefs defense if you want. Make sure you differentiate because people might duplicate it. So, all right. So that's the first lineup we're building. Let's do another one. Any thoughts on who this quarterback stack should be?
I mean, I think we're gonna try a Goff. See if we like a Goff action.
Okay, Goff with St. Brown, obvious choice.
Yeah.
And then do you want to go Laporta or do you want to go Gibbs, Montgomery? What are you thinking?
I'll try Laporta. Does that feel too expensive?
49.33 left per player, and then we get to the defense. What again? Use the Chiefs. So we have 53.80 per player, which is more money than we had last time. Mm-hmm. And that's because we don't have McCaffrey yet. So right. If you put in McCaffrey, now suddenly you have 45.25 left per player. So I don't know if you want to go that route. So what are you thinking? Do you want to put McCaffrey in this lineup? You want to see how?
Yeah, I want to see how expensive it gets.
Okay. So I think that we need to do the same thing as last time. I think we need to go with Shakir or another, or we could go Josh Reynolds. Yeah.
I get maybe pull McCaffrey out just to see if we can do it. Maybe what it looks like without him. That does hamstring you pretty quickly.
Okay. All right. So we don't need to go to Josh Reynolds. I think if you put McCaffrey, I think Reynolds makes a lot of sense, even though it's QB +3 at this point. But I know that like Osimo, who's I think he's considered the best DFS player in the world. He's been doing a lot of QB +3 this year, not even like on these short slates, like on the main slate. So I think Josh Reynolds makes a lot of sense if you want to save some money.
Yeah.
So all right. So, but without McCaffrey, I don't think you need to go that route. So
right.
So you want to work on the running backs. I think that Pacheco makes a lot of sense. Like if we're not playing McCaffrey, it's Pacheco Singletary, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, who's the? Against Tampa, Tampa, Detroit. Do we want to run it back with a Tampa receiver? Maybe that's.
Yeah, it could be God. Who do you like the best? Evans, Godwin.
I think Godwin's probably the guy. You made a good case. Particularly if Evans is banged up a little bit. Okay. It just gives us a better picture of how much money we have to spend on running back.
Okay, so Godwin. So we have 51.50 left. I think we can go Pacheco Singletary. And then, okay, so Pacheco Singletary. We have 42.50 left per player. So my thinking is that we try. I think we might see what happens if we do Josh Reynolds or Otten.
Yep.
So Josh Reynolds gets us 4,800 left, which is Justice Hill. Or Dalton Kincaid, Isaiah Likely. So if Andrews is out, I think he's worth a shot. All right, so that doesn't look that great. Now, let's just say if we take out Reynolds and put in Otten, he's $200 cheaper. Suddenly we have 5,000 left for a receiver, which is Gabe Davis, Dontavian Wicks. So I guess here's what you can do. You can drop. I was going to say drop Chiefs defense to play Buccaneers defense, but that I guess Jared Goff doesn't really sound all that great. So what are we doing here? So, here's the. Let's add Chiefs defense back in. Let's put in your guy that you mentioned, Justin Watson at 3,300. Now you have 5,200 left, and that is Jaden Reed.
Oh, excellent.
Okay. So this lineup is there's no McCaffrey. So you have Goff, Pacheco, Singletary, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Godwin, Justin Watson, Sam Laporta, Jaden Reed, Chiefs defense. Do you like this one better than the other one?
Yeah, I like those guys.
I mean, do you like this lineup better than the other one?
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't either. Doesn't seem like, it does have McCaffrey, but like I said, I don't think McCaffrey is like necessary. And like he might just not have a great game. But I think this line's fine though. Like I think it's okay. Like playing Justin Watson is kind of a bummer, because you don't have McCaffrey.
Right.
It feels like if you play Watson, it's because McCaffrey is just weighing you down. Maybe it's a byproduct of Laporta being 5,900, and also Godwin. So I wonder if like you could take out Godwin and go cheaper. Let's just say like Zay Flowers, and then we hit 3,600. And then we would go down a little bit. Defense, we go Packers defense, and a receiver. Now we have 3,700 for Josh Reynolds. Is that better?
Yeah, I think that feels a little better.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I'm wondering if so the Goff expensive stack is not great.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And I know that I think about, I still want to get to David Montgomery. Again, I can't believe I'm saying that out loud. But I still want to get to David Montgomery. That I wonder if and Montgomery's not going to be catching passes from Goff, right? So
right.
So I don't want to stack Goff and Montgomery, and that there's no upside to that. So
if you want to play Montgomery, here's what I would do. So Baker Mayfield. Now I know you said you didn't like him, but I think he makes the most sense because Montgomery's scoring touchdowns. He's behind. He's going to have to throw. So if Evans is banged up, you go Godwin and you go Otten. Now this stack is very, very inexpensive. You can even go. Hell, you can even go Lions defense and just go the old Jameis Winston strategy here,
right?
And so this sort of lineup, like you don't need to play St. Brown, right? Because you're expecting all the Lions points to come via defense and Dave Montgomery.
Yep.
And so you can play McCaffrey. So you have 53-33 left per player, and you don't have any running backs left. So you could get one cheap running back and then get some expensive guys. So or one cheap receiver, and get expensive guys. So you put in Shakir. So you have 6,100 left for your receivers. So you can get to a Nico Collins. You can get to Rashee Rice. We haven't gotten to yet. If you put Rice here, you have 5,400. You have Jaden Reed left in your lineup. So
I like you sold me on Baker here.
Yeah, this looks pretty good to me. You have for those who's listening, you have Mayfield, Montgomery, McCaffrey, Godwin, Shakir, Rice, Otten, Jaden Reed, Lions defense. And you even have $200 left to upgrade Lions defense. If you don't want to do that, you can go Lions defense to Ravens defense even. So, it looks pretty good to me, actually.
Yeah. I like the idea of saying, okay, if we're going to pay down a little bit on the quarterback, that gives us some more flexibility. We still have got McCaffrey in, and we still got some players we like.
Yeah. Actually, of the three lineups that we did, I think this one's the best one.
Yeah, probably. I agree.
Okay. All right. So John's saying, watch Diggs put up 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Oh, yeah. He can certainly do that. It's a tough matchup, but I mean, he's got the talent. He just hasn't done anything recently. Harambe saying Shakir. Oh, he was guessing who the own receivers or he's just he's suggestions for lineup. So, all right. Do you have any Rainmaker packs?
I do. I've got one playoff booster pack that I bought for $4.
Oh, nice. Okay. Do you want to open yours first? I have one as well.
Yep. I'm a man of the people. I went and got a pack. I think I paid $4.58 for it. So.
Okay.
Where am I going here? Let me. Which window is it? There it is.
One second.
There we go.
Okay. Let me add that. Okay. Now we see it. So.
All right. Packs. Here we go. So, it's the top offer is not $4.50. So I've already lost 9 cents in value.
Well, maybe you'll get something good and only lose like $1 in value.
Before even opening it. So all right,
this is one of those you get Yeah, you get a chance of getting one rare card. So you have a coin flip chance of getting a rare card. So
Yep.
Let's go. Excited. Come on, give us a rare. Give us a rare. Nice. Okay, we got a rare card. I feel like rare is not that rare on Rainmakers.
Yeah.
Oh,
all right. A kicker. As I'm going in the next year, kickers are valuable, right?
They are. Yeah, deep roster in the previous year. Yeah, you need a kicker. I said Chad Ryland's not that good. All right, there we go. It's destiny. There you go. You're gonna have to.
Bobby Trees.
You're going to have to play Robert Woods unless you sell this.
Oh my gosh! I mean, what can I sell it for? 18 cents.
Yeah, you might as well play it in the lineup, right?
All right, here we go. So, okay, this kicker might be worth something one day next year. Robert Woods not going to be worth anything, so definitely in the hole here. Let's see what the rare card. Let's get who do I want to play this weekend? I'm going to want to play. Let's see. Let's play. How about a Josh Allen rare card?
Okay.
He's not a superstar, right?
No, he is a superstar. How about Dave Montgomery? You're talking.
All right, let's go. Dave Montgomery rare card. Here it goes.
Oh, that's a nice one.
Okay, Kittle. All right.
And we're talking about deep roster. You need tight ends too, so that's a valuable card to have.
So Kittle over the open market is going for about $2. So
$2. Robert was not even listed. However, I think he's going to make you a lot more money this weekend in Rainmaker and your Rainmaker lineup. So
I'm sure of it.
All right, let's open up my pack. So this is a pack I found. This is one of the old Showdown packs that we used to have. It's like a blast from the past here. And the reason I bought it is I'll tell you in a second as I pull it up. Okay, let me add. Okay, can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, this is a Rush Prime Time pack from September 21st, 2023. And you might be wondering, why are you buying this? Well, first of all, you have a chance to get an elite card in this lineup, in this pack. Second, this was the game between the Niners and the Giants. So Giants, I don't want Giants cards, but the Niners are going to be playing this weekend. They're probably going to be playing next weekend, and there's a chance they're going to be playing the Super Bowl. So there's a good chance that some of the cards I open in this pack are going to be players I could use within the next 3 weeks. So that's my thinking here. Ironically, you may have opened the best Niner card among us because you got the George Kittle rare, but let's open this. I spent $37 in this. There's no way I'm getting anything back like close to this, but I think that would be close. However, this is for the people, like I said. So, or like you said, this is also for the people.
You're a man of the people, Walt.
Let's go.
It's 4 cards, right?
Cards. Okay, I got a rare as well. Let's hope that they're not all Giants players, which would be sad.
It's going to be Slayton. I got a feeling.
Oh, Giants defense. There we go. Like you said, you have a deep roster. You need a defense. So not useless. Jake Moody. There you go. Kicker for the 49ers. So not bad. Yeah. Darius Slayton, who he caught fire at the end. All right.
I had a feeling Slayton was going to be in the pack. I felt it.
All right, so let's hope. I'm hoping for your rare, actually, like George Kittle. But we'll see.
A rare Kittle or rare Ayuk.
Oh, Graham got a kicker rare. I don't think I made as much as you did in this pack, which I paid 9 times as much for.
Yeah, sorry, bro.
That was pretty rough. Let's see. Moody 23 cents. Gano 44 cents. I turned $37 into 67 cents. That's like you own AMC. Like it's basically the same thing.
Man, it's so good. Sorry, bro.
Pretty rough there. So yeah, I was not like I said, I was not expecting anything. I'm actually jealous of your George Kittle that you pulled. So that was don't buy. This is the point of this. Do not buy packs on Rainmakers. What you should do is you should scour the market and like look for good deals and put in offers for those cards.
Right.
That is the best way to do it. This is a great time to do this now, by the way. I'm gonna show you guys before signing off. Like this is something I've been doing recently. So what you could do is you could sort by like rarity. And so what I've been doing is so these are all legendary cards and like legendary / Rainmakers. This is like the level I'm targeting. So like Brock Purdy's super expensive. He's $1,800 right now. But he's still playing. If you look at guys who are not playing anymore, so you have like, for example, like Jalen Hurts, $350. You could put in an offer. Someone put in an offer for $115. I think it's a little cheap. You put in something close to 200, that might be accepted. And you know, you're going to be playing him next year. Now the prizes aren't as much, but like it's so easy to win packs. That is the best way to win a prize packs, and prize packs in at that level will get you Rainmakers packs. And then you know you could pull like a $10,000 card like pretty easily. So that is my strategy, just to like put in offers for cards. Like I recently got what I got like I can't remember. It was like a Devontae Smith or something like that for $100 something. So it was a legendary card. So you could definitely get some great values here. This is what I would do right now if you're interested in Rainmakers and trying to build a collection for the upcoming year.
I like it. I like the strategy. I'm trying to move my way up out of the core rare into the elite range. So one day I will be at your range, your legendary Rainmakers range.
Well, last year I didn't even have any legendary Rainmakers cards. I had one. I had a Matt Ryan legendary because I needed I wanted Matt Ryan for like a Saturday slate or something like that. And like oddly enough, his legendary was just as expensive as his elite. And I'm like, oh, might as well just get the legendary, right? And like that was the only legendary I had heading into the off season. And then I got like some cheap Rainmaker / legendary cards last summer, and with those, I got packs that gave me more legendary and Rainmaker cards. So yeah, and like I was able to buy some cheap ones, like the Mark Andrews Rainmaker card I got. Like the day he went on IR, like someone was selling it like insanely cheap. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like this is a good value. It's going to return its value. So I bought it, and like I didn't even expect to have him this year, you know. But it worked out that way. So yeah, just that is the way to do it. Like I know some people like have expressed their frustration with Rainmakers, like within the like professional DFS players. It's because like they open up packs. It's like this is the dumbest thing you can do, as you just saw. Like you don't want to open up packs. Like don't open up any packs. Find good values. Put them in pack parties, and like those prize packs can really be really good. And they don't cost you anything. So that is my recommendation.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. All right, Kenny, do you want to talk about anything before we sign off? Maybe the capisfake.com.
Capisfake.com. Got some got a bunch of articles, content on there. Nothing brand new, but lots of stuff related to the salary cap being fake, because it is fake. So the capisfake.com, check it out.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Lots of great articles on here. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely look at it. We're going to be back tomorrow with Quacky Takes for our Thursday Thoughts picks show, and then on Saturday, our Saturday Notes show after the 2 Saturday games. So usually like a half hour after the second game ends. I'm at WalterFootball.com. We have tons of content. We're going to have free agency rankings hopefully soon. I am working on them. It's a slog to get through, but we kind of streamlined the process. So hopefully it'll be up sooner rather than later. And then tons of content from Charlie as well. So thanks so much, guys, for watching and commenting. Really appreciate it. Kenny, love having you on the show on Wednesday. I think we have a lot of great ideas for DFS, and hopefully one of us takes on the Millie this week.
Let's do it.
All right, Kenny. I'll talk to you next week.
You know, man, Walt.